Hi everybody, it's Eric Tremblay here, and I'm just going to make a quick presentation on social media strategy for CJAI. I was asked to do this by the board a couple weeks ago, and I thought I'd just make this little presentation. It's going to be quick and dirty, short, and just give you an idea of what I think about social media and how it can apply to our radio station. So anytime you make a strategy, one of the things you got to think about is what's your goal. And I think that for our radio station, social media, there's two major goals that it could accomplish. One, it can enhance the experience of the existing listeners. So that what I mean by that is the increasing two-way interaction. You've often heard people talk about things like Facebook and Twitter. It's a way for you know people to interact with, let's say, broadcasters at the radio station in real time. I mean, live during a show. Sometimes it's also a way to interact in a sort of non-real time way. Another goal that I think is most radio stations will use social media for is to promote community events and radio station events, and as well as the sponsors, of course. It's just a one-way push of information to your listeners. Now let's just give a little recap of where we're at actually with social media at CJAI. Well, about a year ago, maybe longer, we created a station-wide Twitter account for CJAI. Here's the handle, hashtag CJAI921FM. Any broadcaster or any staff member at CJAI, any volunteer, can have access to this. Just let me know, I'll give you the password. And you could post to Twitter right away. We have over 300 followers already on Twitter. And then when it comes to Facebook, what we've got is a series of sort of individual Facebook accounts. Many shows have their own little Facebook account, and each of them have their own following. So there's a different following here with, let's say, my Facebook page, and a different following over here with, let's say, Devin's Facebook page. Okay, we both have a Facebook page for our radio show, and we have a different following. Another thing we have is we also have a Facebook account for the radio station. It was created a couple of years back. I'm not exactly sure who created it, but it's not really well used, nor is it well promoted. So I think one strategy we could look at is trying to drive Facebook in this station-wide Facebook account, trying to leverage that and make that happen better, and perhaps funnel some of the users that are in these individual Facebook groups liking an individual program, get them also to like this station-wide account, and we could use the station-wide account to interact with our listeners better. What's nice about that is, let's say Devin over here has people that like his page, Eric over here has people that like his page. Well, if I just post as Eric over here, I'm not reaching Devin's listeners, right? And if Devin just posts as Devin over here, he's not reaching my listeners. Well, if we both decided to stop posting here and instead just post up here in the station-wide one, then that means Eric reaches all the listeners and Devin also reaches all the listeners. It's really a way to increase the interaction. So let's talk about Facebook. I think it is really the way to go. It's the #1 social network out there. There's two things you got to think about from a Facebook perspective. There's frequency and there's content. Frequency is one of those things that, if you never post on your Facebook account, then people aren't going to be all that interested and they're not going to interact with you. So there has to be some frequency going on there. So those broadcasters that are, interested in interacting with users on a weekly basis or whatnot, they should be encouraged to make postings there. So for a station-wide account, those broadcasters and staff that are interested in participating, they would all get administrator access on the account, and they would all be able to post and interact with listeners. Let's talk content for a second. When you talk content, you have to relate it back to your goals, the goals that I gave on a couple slides ago. Here was the first one. Goal number 1, okay? It was to enhance the experience of existing listeners, to increase the two-way interaction. So how do you do that? You use open-ended postings, okay? And you kind of induce people to answer you on Facebook. Now I've given a few examples here. If you want, you can pause this video and take a look and read it more slowly. But I'm just going to skip right down to the third one. And this would be a great Facebook post, a way to get people to interact. This Thursday morning on the Island Sunrise Show, Dan Simpson gives us the rundown on the Emerald Music Festival schedule. Have you ever been to Emerald Music Festival before? Are you going this year? You know, you never know. Someone could answer and say, yeah, I've been there, I love it, it's great, da da da, and gains a little bit of buzz from a posting like that. You know, they're open-ended questions, and that's the way to induce someone to interact with you in a two-way fashion. So what about goal number 2? Okay, goal number 2 was to promote community and radio station events and also our sponsors. So again, you can pause this video right now if you want to run through all these things. But this is really a one-way communication, this kind of information. You're not necessarily looking for interaction with the listener, but it's just another way to promote. So I'm just going to skip to the second one here. Like, welcome to our newest sponsor partnership. You know, it's with Blossoms Kingston, 2785 Princess Street. Be sure to check out their website, their Facebook page, and support the community, this community-minded business. And of course, there could be a link here, you know, to their Facebook page. So it's really that sort of linking and pushing out information to people, which can promote our community and our radio station events. And this would be a great way, like things that come on the clipboard, for example, and the community calendar, they could be pushed out to Facebook or to Twitter and things like that. We already do some of that, but we do it in a little bit of a sort of ad hoc way. So what I mean, so let's get back now to the previous slide that I had a few ago. We have Twitter, we have Facebook. One thing that I think you can do too is make them work together a little bit. Okay, if we post things to the Twitter account, we should be posting something similar at the same time to the Facebook account, and vice versa. When we post to Facebook, post to Twitter. That's the ideal way. Okay, no one needs to be forced to do anything they don't want to do, and only those people, those volunteers that are comfortable with these technologies, you know, need to do these things. But these things do work together, because you're going to get some followers, some people, listeners, or people in the community that like Twitter, whereas there's other people in the community that likes Facebook. Okay, and there's people that like both or neither, you know. So it's just another way to think about it, that these are two separate social networks, but you can post the same things to them and accomplish the same results. Now, Twitter's a little tougher to use than Facebook. What I mean by tougher is, if you're not familiar with it, your posting can only be 140 characters. So you have to condense it way down to something, to a sentence that fits in 140 characters. Whereas Facebook, you can be more creative. It can be a longer posting. You can have images, you can have videos, you can have links to, you know, all kinds of stuff in Facebook. So let's talk about the power of social networking. Like, for example, right now on our station-wide Twitter account, we have more than 300 people that are following it. Okay, that's fantastic. So every time we post something out on Twitter, like, you know, join us Wednesday for Ellis's live music, and he's joined by such and such an entertainer, you know, I will normally put that out on Twitter for Ellis, and it populates our web page. And not only does it populate our web page, but it gets directly sent to all 300 or more Twitter followers. So if these three arrows represent kind of like 300 people that receive our message about Ellis's live show, and they all have Twitter accounts naturally. So if just one likes our advertisement for Ellis's show and happen to just turn around and share it with all his or her Twitter followers, then it amplifies the signal. And then you might accidentally touch on a new listener, someone who doesn't know anything about CJAI, but this particular person that was on our list is sharing with all their buddies. And it's a bit like a snowball here, because if somebody else likes it, and we're just going to share that announcement about Ellis's entertainers on a specific Wednesday, share it with all their people, and then it can just continue to grow and grow and grow. That's the power of social networking, is that the intent at the beginning, you're only going to reach 300 people, but in the end, what happens is the signal amplifies, and sometimes with some interesting announcements and some interesting postings, you end up reaching a large audience. That's good for us. We may attract somebody new, somebody who likes the idea of CJAI and would like to listen. So there's other triggers for posts other than things that pertain directly to goal number 1 and goal number 2. There's, again, you can pause this video right now and have a quick look on this. But anything that happens at the radio station that's new, it would be great to throw it out on Facebook. It complements the website, if you will, because our website right now, we're putting on information about the happenings and news, and Twitter and the Facebook can really complement that. I'll just draw your attention to the last point here. It says use a conversational, casual tone, because what you want to do is encourage listener interaction. However, of course, we don't want to use inappropriate topics or comments, and you want to always stay upbeat, stay positive. That's the sort of image that you want to promote forward. Stay upbeat, stay positive. Now, how to build momentum? Well, if a listener posts on a Facebook page that belongs to CJAI, the sort of best practice out there is somebody has to acknowledge their post at some point. So I think it's easy for us because we have many volunteers, and there may be many volunteers that are interested in using Facebook, a station-wide Facebook account. And in which case, there's always going to be someone kicking around who within the next couple of days is going to notice that a user posted on our Facebook page and acknowledge their post in some fashion. So that goes a long way. That too, because the listener will really think there's two-way feedback if they post something, and then someone goes, "Hey, I like your idea," or "Thanks," or continues the conversation in some fashion. That's where the real interaction comes from. Another thing that is important about social media is integrate it into your marketing. Okay, integrate into your offline marketing and your online marketing. So promote Twitter and Facebook on your paper-based flyers, on your website, in your email signatures, on the air. It just wraps into your giant marketing solution. And then try to integrate them. I've already talked about this a little bit. Try to integrate Twitter and Facebook for the benefit of the listener. So if you can, cross-post the same information to both accounts, because again, some listeners are going to prefer Twitter, other listeners are going to like Facebook. You want to try to hit everybody. So it brings me to my last slide, and I think that it's a really good idea to bring Facebook to Island Radio. Again, as I mentioned, we already have show-specific pages that have a lot of success around them, and it would be great to sort of take the big station-wide Facebook account and sort of bring it to the next level. In fact, I think we should encourage all the people that like the show-specific pages to also like the station-wide account. Okay, and then once they like the station-wide account, that number will grow, and as we use and post useful information and interact with our listeners using the station-wide account, then it just grows and grows and grows, and it's just a great way to communicate and interact with our listeners on another level. All right, so there's my short presentation. I hope you enjoyed it, and if you have any questions, I'd be happy to help you understand any more of this. But the bottom line is, I think that we should go ahead with this. There's no cost to using Facebook, and all you have to do is basically tell me to make it happen, and I can make it happen, and I can send out some instructions by email, and we can move forward. Okay, great. Thanks very much. Take care now.